In this video, I built a 1.19 fantasy castle. I will be showing you my step-by-step process of how I built the castle in the form of a time-lapse. I'll be explaining each step I took and my whole plan from start to finish. Okay, so the first thing you need to do before you start building your mega build, you need a plan. A, what you're going to build, in this case, a castle. How big is it going to be? You also need to think of what style or theme you're going with. In this case, my theme is a fantasy/gothic castle. And you also need to put together a block palette. So here I have a simple block palette, and I have kind of separated it into different sections. So for example, the gray shaded stones that start from like light gray with the stone and kind of fade all the way down to the very dark gray. This I'm going to be using for the base of my castle. At the very base of it, the walls. This is kind of what the main part of the castle will be sitting on. Then the second layer up here, this is like yellowish, whitish type colors that fade darker. This will be the main color of the castle. And then we have the reddish type blocks that kind of fade into like a lighter pink and brown and into this color, a very dark tan. And these will be used for different pillars. And the way I'm using my block palette is actually very unique. I'm going to be using it in a way where I create shadows to add more depth into my build, and I'll explain a little bit more later in the video when the time lapse is playing of how I am using it. It's like a gradient, and up here it starts here and kind of gradients and shades into here. I'm also using smooth stone as kind of like a trim or a border, and as an exterior flooring, I am using calcite as well as iron for a trim around the edges. Okay, to start out here, I have picked out a location, cleared out some land, and I'm kind of brainstorming together some tower designs, just kind of piecing them together of how I want them to look. So I'm kind of building the front entrance here, the front part of the castle, and you will notice that I'm building out of stone to start. Now that is a good strategy of mine because I find on mega projects, mega builds like this, if I build the whole thing, the whole shape of the castle and all the structures out of stone first without adding any color, I get a good idea of what the whole castle as a whole is going to look like, and I can make easy changes without changing much. Considering that this is going to be a symmetrical build, I have decided to build one half of it to get a good idea of what it's going to look like, and then I'll just copy and paste it over to the other side using world edit. So right now you see I'm building out this side, the right side of the castle. This is actually going to be where the entrance is going to be. There's going to be two entrances, one on this side and one on the other side. And then this is a good back view. I'm kind of working on the roof back here. And once I feel I am in a good spot, I will copy over the other side as you just saw. And I go back to working on the side I was working on. And I'm just doing the smaller details now. I did the bigger details like the walls and the towers. Now I'm doing the smaller details like the arches there, putting the roof on. Now I'm designing a lot more of the back here, just trying to get the shape of it. Copied it over to the other side. I'm kind of working on the smaller details. And then once I'm at a good place, I'll start focusing on other areas like breaking up the roof by adding some towers. I also finish off the caps of some of these towers. And then I add a lot more windows. Then I start working on the towers some more, just trying to get some more details in place and even the smaller details on some of the facings of the roofs. And then I go back over to the front and I do a copy and paste. And right now we are kind of looking at the finished structure, the finished shape of the castle. And as you see at the bottom there, I'm working on some terraining. My goal is to make the bottom area of the castle blend in with the terrain and the grass around it. And the way I'm doing that is adding rocks at the very bottom. And I'm using a gradient there from lightest to darkest. Now I'm actually starting to do some shading on the castle with my grays from my color palette. All the gray blocks, trying to add some shadows and some depth. Also using the trim with the smooth sandstone. And again, you'll see me working on one half of the castle, one side of the castle, because I feel like it's easier and more efficient working on one side, and then you could just copy and paste it onto the other side, considering this is very symmetrical. And right now I've started work on the main part of the castle, and you're starting to see some of the shadow effects take into place with the two gradients I have with the gray blocks and the yellowish whitish type blocks with sandstone. That goes into birch. And both my gradients have a top-down effect where my darker blocks of the gradient are at the top and it gets lighter as it goes down, and it stretches the further it goes down. And you can see we are slowly coming together here on this side, and I'm starting to work on the pillars with the reddish type gradients with the bricks and the mud bricks. I think that's a really cool gradient I picked out there. And then I just continue the gray gradient at the bottom with the gray blocks. And I just continue to color in more of the areas on the side there. I also start adding in the copper roofs, and I'm getting into the back, coloring the back. This wasn't too hard because at this point I kind of already knew what I was doing. I just kind of had to focus and kind of take my time on it, and then I start coloring the towers at the top there. Now I'm at the point where I finished all the shading for that half, and I'm going to start doing the minor details, like adding in the windows. As you can see I'm doing right here, I'm adding in windows, trims at the top, and I'm just kind of tidying up the area, adding more details as we go along. You might be able to notice some, and then I just start to add some flags, and these flags really help break up that area so it's not all looking the same. And it also adds some more color and a story to the castle as well, as the castle colors are like purple and white. You can use your imagination with that. And then the final stage of detailing is the adding all the foliage, plants, flowers, trees, any type of greenery you feel would help spice up the area. And then when I'm all done, as you just saw, I copied over to the left side. You kind of see the full colored picture of the castle all built. Added some more details. As you see, I'm adding more foliage at the bottom, kind of adding a lot of lichen, adding just my final touches, finishing details, and yeah, there we go. And after all of that, this is the finished final product. This looks really cool. I'm really proud of how this turned out. This was a very fun project to work on. It had its challenges and it had its ups and downs. I kind of just kind of went with the flow, had my own groove of building it, and yeah, hopefully you guys did like that. Now I want to kind of get up close here with what I'm talking about with the shades. As you see, the darker blocks, I'm using mud that kind of gets lighter and lighter. It kind of shades into the acacia, then goes to tough. Gravel's a good block to use as a good transition from tough into gray, light gray wool I used here. You might also see down here near the foundation at the bottom of it, we have some stone bricks mixed in with, mossy stone and cracked stone. I added stone bricks just to make it look like it has more support, and it looks like it's more worn out. I think that looks really cool. But if we take a look back here, this effect looks really cool. I think using the shadow gradient technique is a really cool idea and cool technique to use when you're trying to add depth into a build and make certain trims pop out. So for example, if we look at this area here, especially I'm looking on that wall and on there, it looks like, from a distance, it looks like that trim is kind of popping out a little bit. But if we actually go up closer, it's actually flat. It's actually flush against the wall here. Just with this shadow gradient here, it just looks like it's popping out. Now, it also helps in areas such like here. With the yellowish whitish type blocks, I have it starting out with sandstone, going into stripped birch, jungle wood, and then this is brown mushroom block. This is a very good transition. And then spruce wood, and then the dark oak wood is the darkest block for that gradient, and also adds a nice bit of detail here. And another really cool thing I did at the very end, you might not have seen it because it went very quick and it was like at the very end, but within the different colors, so like the sandstone, the stripped birch, the jungle wood, and even, the brown mushroom block, I also added variations of the textures as well, just to give it, more detail. So as you can see with the sandstone, I didn't just add the smooth sandstone, I also added regular sandstone. Stripped birch wood, I also added, the birch planks. The jungle wood, I also added the jungle planks. With the mushroom block, I also added the new 1.19 packed mud. These two work really well together. They're very close in color, and they have different textures, which is why it works together. And then with the spruce wood, that's not spruce wood, with the spruce wood, I have the spruce planks, and you can see here with the dark oak wood, the stripped version, I also have the dark. It's really cool idea I have here. I used copper for the rooftops, and if you just look at the three main blocks here, we have the stone, and we have the sandstone, and copper. I think these three colors work very well together, and we just kind of expand off those colors with the different shades and then the different textures, and we get something like this. We tie in some brick there just to add to the color palette, and the greens add to the color palette as well. I did mention in the video that the entrance is actually on the side. There's two of them, one on both sides. There's this side entrance. Now, for whatever reason, I did not make a bridge or any walkway up here. I will do that. I'm not sure yet, but just imagine there's a bridge here, and it goes to an entrance right here, and this is the door that leads to the empty interior of the castle. And the glow lichen is a really cool feature I decided to put on the build. Just spammed it everywhere on the build, mainly on the stones and on the bricks. I didn't bother putting it on the sandstone parts. And I did that just to give it more of a weathered look, like an old, kind of weathered, worn out look. I think that looks really cool. But yeah, here is, I'm going to show you the different views. So this is the front view. We got the side view on the right here. The back, which I think is really cool. And the left side, which is a little bit shorter because of just of how the terrain is. But yes, let me know in the comment section below what you think on this castle. And if you guys would like to see a part 2 of me doing an interior to the castle, in order for there to be a part 2, this video needs to hit 50 likes. At least 50 likes for me to have a part 2 on this castle, where I will be doing an interior to the castle, as well as, you know, making a walkway and a bridge up to the two entrances, which I think will be pretty cool. So yeah, if you want to see a part 2, you gotta like, and if I see 50 likes on the video, then I'll do a part 2. But yes, please feel free to share your feedback and your comments about this castle in the comments section below. But yes, that'll be it for today's video. If you guys did enjoy it, please give it a thumbs up. It'll be much appreciated if you did. And if you guys are new, consider subscribing so you don't miss out on any cool videos such like this one in the future. And yes, just like that, I will see you all in the next episode.